And tariffs. I'm joined by Joel Trachtman. He's a professor of international law at Tufts University's Fletcher School. Thank you so much for joining us. So, Joel, what do you make of this step-up approach? 10% for now, then 25% at the beginning of the year.
Well, it's disastrous for both sides in economic terms. It's tough on Chinese producers that want to send goods to the United States. It's also tough on U.S. companies. This additional $200 billion worth of tariffs, $200 billion of goods that will be subject to tariffs, is still mostly inputs and industrial goods rather than consumer goods. There are some consumer goods. About 20% of the goods are consumer goods. So it's going to hurt United States manufacturing and United States competitiveness and start to hurt United States consumers.
You know, at one point we thought, we were all speculating that it could be 25% off the bat, but China has already said before this announcement that it will retaliate. And Trump says in his statement today that he will follow with tariffs on all remaining Chinese imports, $267 billion if China does retaliate. So how do you read the negotiating tactics to this point?
Well, President Trump doesn't want to hurt United States manufacturers or United States consumers too much. That's why it's being phased in until January 1st, when it, as you say, goes to 25%. Give some time for manufacturers to adjust to get their intermediate goods from somewhere else. Get past the Christmas season when people would be upset if their consumer goods, electronic goods, Apple products became more expensive. So this is President Trump's negotiation style. He tries to hit the other person as hard as he can and wait for them to give up. And so far, it doesn't look like China is giving up.
You mentioned Apple smartwatches, child car seats, electronics, some of those other items that are being exempted this go around. Do you think it's also partially a result of the recent trade hearings where the trade office heard from dozens, hundreds of companies?
You're right. Every company that saw the products that they import being subjected to tariffs tried to object. But of the 6,000 or so product lines that were proposed, 5,700 are being subject to tariffs. So only a few were actually exempted. So for those companies that import Chinese goods for intermediate inputs into their production, they're going to be hurt, and it's going to be tough for them to compete in U.S. markets and abroad.
All right, Joel Trachtman, thank you so much for joining us from Boston.